Hellcat. All right, are we going to get a cat that's gone crazy? A cat from hell? No, we're going to get something else. That has nothing to do with this film. So hopefully I've misled you to start. Um, I'm not going to read the IMDb plot or the synopsis that I was given for this, and I'll tell you why at the start. This is a new film. It's having its world premiere at Fantasia. So I was sent a screener for that, so you guys know this is screener review. Put that disclaimer out there. And, because it is the world premiere in a big setting here, they don't want to give away certain things and so forth, and they want us to be very careful with certain things. So I will leave, I don't want to mention, any of the stuff there because that may or may not give away certain things that about the film. So with that, I will tell you a little bit about what's going on here as usual. But obviously that means there is twists, there are turns in this, and I will leave that all for those who are eventually going to see this at Fantasia, and then wherever the film ends up after that for you guys to see. So we'll keep this really spoiler free as possible here. So again, this is world premiering at Fantasia very soon. Obviously, well, by the time this is posted, it will have played. Not going to post it before, but very very new, and we'll keep this very very spoiler free. So I guess the basics here of what's going on is a young woman is waking up, and she's in the back of a trailer, and it is moving, and she's obviously not sure what the hell is going on, doesn't quite remember how she even got in the back of this trailer. She might remember a little thing here or there, but is really not sure what the hell is going on. She's stumbling around it, going through stuff, trying to find a way out, and obviously you would think that maybe it's just a simple way out of this trailer, but it's not. It is moving, so obviously someone is driving it, and for the first few moments there, she is just stumbling about the trailer, trying to escape, also trying to kind of get her bearings. Like I said, she was apparently knocked out and out of it. So, she's just, kind of coming back into her head space there, and, stumbling about and figuring things out. So, you're kind of there with her and watching her kind of go through things and figure out and so forth. And eventually a voice is going to start talking to her and kind of not tell her completely what's going on, but kind of tell her that everything's going to be okay. That they're not there necessarily to hurt her. They're there to kind of help her, and as that kind of portrays, she's obviously skeptical, and you as the audience is skeptical. I mean, we've seen kind of these things before. Oh yeah, we're here to help you, and then yeah, we're not there to help you. So obviously, if she is a horror fan, or if she was a horror fan, they don't really tell you, obviously, or you're just very frightened. Obviously, you're not here to help me. You have me locked here in the back of this trailer. What are you talking about? So yeah, and she's there. There's a voice, and off they go, and they're going to a destination, and so forth. And I guess the simple, again, trying to keep this very simple and very spoiler free is who is the voice? Are they really there to help her or not? And does she need helping or not? What is going on there? That's the real, I guess, the basics of it, without trying to give too much away. Um, I will say that it definitely sets up for an interesting scenario. A different situation. We obviously looking for, we like to look for horror in new and different situations. And I certainly think that this is a little bit different. Not to say we may not have seen, something kind of similar in a way, but we've seen, I think, over the course of time, people wake up in horror movies start with people waking up in places they didn't know they were, or knew what they were, what was going on. But this one, to be in the back of a trailer, and a trailer that's moving and obviously going somewhere, gives us, something a little bit different. So that's certainly to start. And then obviously, when she's kind of, when it kind of starts and she's kind of stumbling around there, and before the voice kind of starts talking, I was kind of wondering, okay, what is going to happen here? Like, can she just not escape the trailer? I mean, is that, the game of it is to escape the trailer? But as the movie goes on, it becomes a whole lot more. There's a whole lot more going on here. Obviously, when the voice hits and starts speaking, obviously you're intrigued. Obviously now you're clued into. Obviously she's not alone, because there has to be someone driving this thing. But now there's a little intrigue going on, and now they have a conversation, and now possibilities start opening, in your head, in her head, what she's thinking is going to happen, what you think as the audience is going to happen. So I would say, early on, even when they first start speaking, you're not 100% sure what the direction is going on here. There is something that's kind of mentioned that again, I'm leaving out, but we'll give you kind of a starting place of some possibilities, and then you got to kind of take it from there. It is really hard when you're trying to keep super spoiler free here, but I will say that it definitely, it starts with one person in a simple premise, but definitely unfolds to a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And I thought they did a pretty good job of hiding certain things, and which is, I think, another reason they want to keep this under wraps and very spoiler free here. I think they do a pretty good job of keeping that pretty quiet until it gets to a point where, then it's not completely obvious. I think, they drop it on you of the possibilities, and then, you just kind of have to decide yes or no. And, I think another thing with this movie, I think it ends up being very much in its time and place. And what I mean by that, and I'm trying not to give away anything, is that I think certain events happen, and then you kind of see what's truly going on here with the driver, and so forth, and that person's thoughts or that person's thoughts of the situation seem very in the now, I guess, in the real world. Maybe not necessarily what ends up may or may not happening, but I guess the situation that person is in, and so forth. So maybe that didn't make any sense. Very hard to kind of say without giving that away. But I think a very in the now kind of a person that's very in the now, that you could see this person and see what is going on in their mind, in their headspace, and seeing that out in the world now, I guess you could say. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by how it started, in such a simple thing, and you kind of have your thoughts of where it could be, and it just unpacks to be a lot more, and it has the twists and it has the turns there for you, and I think you're really not sure what to believe of the characters, and as you start to get clued in on what may or may not be happening here, I think then it also gets in your head, and you're like, okay, is this going to happen, is that going to happen, and so forth. So yeah, I think it's going to keep you engaged all the way through. You would think, oh, she's in the trailer and that's how it starts, and how effective is this going to be if she's in this trailer the entire time? But it does become effective, and what happens, and where it goes, and so forth. So and all the way through the end, all the way to the last moment, they're going to keep you with at least guessing at something for each of the characters here. And I will say we do get well, I won't say that. We'll leave that out. But I think you're definitely going to be curious about these two characters and how they're going to end up, where they're going to end up, and it's definitely going to keep you on your toes all the way through. I think. Let me see. The young girl, Dakota Gorman, I butcher her name. I think she does a pretty good job overall of in this, being in this bizarre situation, not knowing what's going on, and then as things kind of unpack and things become, you kind of know what may or may not be happening here. I think, she does well all the way through. And certainly, some of the voice behind it all, you eventually are going to see more of that person, and like I said, unpack where that person is coming from or whatever, and they do a good job as well. And so yeah, I think it is mentioned as horror thriller, and I think it does a good blend of it. It's obviously not really a slasher, and not heavy on the blood and the guts and that kind of thing. It is definitely a thriller. More, you can even say, I'm surprised maybe they didn't put in something psychological there, because there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of mystery, obviously, at least maybe for the audience, and kind of figuring out what is going on here. But I think they did a very smooth job of giving you a different kind of situation, and then hiding something that is a little bit more familiar to horror fans eventually, and what eventually is going on here, but keeping it well hidden, and ultimately becomes a different way of telling this kind of horror in a way. It is, I guess that's a better way to look at it. If you want to put this in a certain horror category, at the end of the day, once you know what is ultimately happening here, but then a kind of different way of going about it, and even still leaving you, at the end, is it really in that category or not? I guess that's the best way to say it. Is what they eventually portray happening still really, really happening? I think they still leave you a little iffy there. And again, when I mentioned that it kind of fits the time period or whatever, that also kind of plays into it. And what, there's a certain element, I don't know if I want to call them element, but certain, people of thinking of the like mind of the driver here out there in the real world now. So I think, it kind of fits everything, if that made any sense. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one 3.5 pools of blood. I like I said, I like this different situation here. I liked the way they unfolded everything. I liked that, even when you kind of find out what's going to happen, you don't know 100%. And even at the end of the movie, I still think they tried to make you not know 100%, which was pretty nice. And definitely a strong performance by the young lady here, and everything of that situation, she did the best with. So yeah, and I'm gonna leave it at that, and hopefully some of that made sense. I know it's very hard when you alone when you're trying to be spoiler free, but when you're trying to be extra spoiler free, it's even harder sometimes. So hopefully some of that made sense to you. So hopefully for those that are seeing it in Fantasia or debating whether to see it or not, well, obviously this is going to come out afterwards. Hopefully you decided to see it. I think it was definitely worth seeing, and glad I got a chance to see it, and thank everybody, those involved for letting me watch it in advance. And hopefully we'll find out where the film ends up after Fantasia, whether it's other festivals or some kind of release. And certainly could see this one as one on Shudder. I wouldn't see not. Obviously, a lot of these, we're going into a stretch of festival films, bigger festivals now at the end of the year. Some of these do end up on Shudder, so I definitely could see it. You could say that about a lot of them, so you never know which ones will, but I definitely could see this as one. But we'll see. If I do get an update, I will definitely try to share that along. I will also try to remember to share I won't. If you saw the information I promote, congratulations. I will say, you can go to promote, hit search, and find the film there. But since they don't want you to know too much, maybe not, or maybe it's just for the Fantasia people. I don't know. But I would say it is better. The less you know, the better it is that you'll enjoy the movie, because you'll sit down and let things kind of unfold for you. So with that, again, 3.5 pools of blood, and we'll leave, and that is out of 5. So we'll leave it at that. So horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews, written and video. Certainly tons of video reviews for a while now, so you can like and subscribe and do everything else that everybody wants to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries, it is okay. I thank you for your time regardless, especially with a film that you probably not too familiar with. Again, hopefully did not spoil anything for you. Twitter, Facebook, information down below, so you can reach out to me there. You want to find more information about the film, curious, and so forth, or talk about horror, other movies, feel free to do so. And down in the comment section, if you do go to Fantasia, do watch the movie, you have some thoughts on it, feel free to share down below. And or later on, if this ends up somewhere else and you guys catch it, feel free to share your thoughts down there as well. So with that, I'll catch you on the next review, horror fans.